interesting things. You know, if you're into drones and technology, I really recommend you to stay till the end because it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. So let me introduce to you Adonis. How are you?
Hi. How are you? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for joining tonight. We're gonna talk about drones, and also you are the CEO and founder of DEMDRONES.
Yes,
is that correct?
that's correct.
So can you tell me a little bit more about what DEMDRONE is?
So I try to keep it simple with everybody. I'm trying to build a drone empire. Yeah, it includes everybody. Yeah. So I'm a qualified pilot. Been qualified for looking at 3 years now, but I've been flying for about 5. Started in 2018, where I kind of saw it. Thought this would be great emerging technology. It would be something new, something different. I was looking at AI. I was looking at blockchain. I was looking at all of the necessary ones. I come out of university. I have a degree, so I thought, okay, drones would be my lane. It was actually a very funny story how it all started. My driving instructor got one, and I was like, I could do better than him.
Oh, okay.
It was straight competition.
Is that how basically everything came about?
That's how it all started. That's how the dream started. That's how where we are now, almost 5 years ahead, where I'm on the radio with you.
Okay, 5 years.
Yes, it's been about that now. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Because I know that you do, a bunch of things. You're the CEO and founder of DEMDRONES, but you also, you basically we can call you a leader of the drone technology, and you also participate in, events and talks with kids and stuff like that. So you're very involved in different things and have different hats as well, right?
Yeah, I am. I've made it kind of like a deliberate effort to expand what people see a drone pilot and a drone company to be. Because at the end of the day, like, if you look at an Olympian, they're running. You know what I'm saying? Look at Usain Bolt, he's running. He trains with his life for that, like, 9 seconds. He trained all his life for, just to get that. Yeah,
Sure.
but now he's doing property, philanthropy, like, he's there. So, us as drone pilots is a very, very, very difficult skill to master. Yeah, there's only, and I'll give you some relevance here. So there's about 7 million people in London. Okay, out of that, there's 500,000 pilots who've decided to just register and get a little license plate number. Yeah, about £9 they pay. Then you go down to people that decide to do something called the A2, which I'll expand on more later. There's 14,000 people. Then you get me, 3,000 of us. So if we're talking about 7 million people, in the UK, and there's only 3,000 qualified drone pilots. Okay, that's the reason why I take this so seriously. Because it's only a small fraction of us, and we are doing some amazing things. You're seeing movies, you're seeing TV, you're seeing military and defense, you're seeing people going from other countries. So, I'm here to kind of like put my voice forward and
That's good.
do the thing.
Because we are full. We have so many questions, so be ready. Because I actually made some researches. I will call it today drones for dummies.
Okay.
Very basic. Very basic.
Okay.
I know almost nothing, but we're gonna have to start from somewhere, right? So first question for me is, what is the biggest misconception about drones and the pilot industry, I would call it. So because you kind of mentioned, right, that there are not many people, and it's very difficult. You actually have to have a license as well. You cannot just fly things, and we're not talking about toys, even if it might look like. But so what are the biggest misconceptions besides what I just mentioned?
To be honest, I think the biggest misconception is that anyone can do the job. Yeah, and that's just the pilot job. Like, the even bigger misconception is that it's not a business. So people have, like, we have new drones coming out. We've got a Mini 4, DJI Mini 4, and that one there, because it's within the set regulations to allow people to just enjoy themselves. Yeah, you now have a bunch of people saying, "Well, I'm a drone pilot now. I can do whatever. I can fly anywhere." Yeah, and that isn't the truth. Yeah, at the end of the day, to be able to do this job safely, you need to understand what a risk assessment is. You need to understand, what the CAA has put in place in regulations. You need to take it seriously. And when someone goes and buys I can just give some relevance now. 400 feet is the highest you can go with a consumer drone, to under 250 grams. Also, those are the two main things you need to really care about when you're flying a drone. Also, it's expensive. The entry is roughly about £400 to £500. Yeah, that's a lot of money. It's the same price as maybe a Sony, a Canon camera, and this thing flies. So you don't want to damage that equipment. I always tell people, go and get yourself DJI care if you do buy it. And I mean, if I'm looking at like 20 to 30-year-olds, the entry level probably will be a Mini 4. Yeah, so it's I think that's the misconception really. A lot of people think it's just easy.
That is easy.
Yeah,
and it's really not, because it takes a lot of preparation.
Yeah.
You have to know the terms and regulations.
You
have to practice as well, because you're not
You
going to
have
get
to
it right the
practice.
first time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because you're gonna crash. Like, I crashed the first 3 weeks.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
wow.
like, and that was with a more expensive piece of equipment.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
that was like almost £1,800. Like, you know, and when you do it, it's disheartening. But I always kind of tell people that, you know, you watch it, you see it on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever the case is, and I always ask, well, who's actually flown one? And I'll tell you this now, like, hardly anyone. Yeah, you like it, but would you put yourself in the line of fire? This question's different, so I know this really happens.
And is there like a kind of insurance that protects you for
Yeah.
accident? Because it's going to happen a lot, I'm assuming. So
I mean, the best way to do it is DJI does provide, so DJI the company, they provide their own insurance. Yeah, where you pay towards us, the DJI Care, and then post to that, any other company you work with, the reputable drone companies, generally they do have some form of care in place. Yeah, but because DJI is, in my opinion, one of the leaders at the moment, especially for consumer drones, it is better that you kind of stick with them and utilize what they give you instead of just trying to raggo and just go about your business and not focus on the thing.
Okay. And you kind of mentioned that obviously there's only, like, say, 3,000 people.
Yeah, about 3,000
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
So it's like it's not that popular right now, but it's growing, right? Because I can see that a lot of people are starting to research it and start to actually thinking about investing or just doing it, just for pleasure, for creativity, like music, in the music industry, for example. So if you say like video clips and stuff, like doing the drones, so it's starting to get taken a little bit more seriously as well, right?
Yeah, when I say, so understand this is global. So I always tell people it's 43 billion globally, the drone industry itself. Visual line of sight is what is making the most money at the moment, and that is depending on how big the drone is, how far you can see it. That's what we conceptual visual line of sight. It has changed in times, but I mean, it's a global thing. So everyone, it's like I tell people it's like having a phone. You've got a phone, you can do anything with your phone. Yeah, your phone has the ability to trade stocks, it has the ability to film, it has the ability to broadcast. I'm showing my age now. I had 56 KD modem. Okay, remember the sound? Yeah, I had to sit there waiting for this internet to load up. Nowadays we have like even a separate webcam, all of that. I had all these components. Now you have it in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, with the drone technology we have, it's all of that. Because you can broadcast on these drones as well.
No way.
Yeah, you can broadcast on Facebook,
Yeah,
YouTube.
live broadcasting. That's the thing.
Oh, sorry. You know what? We should do this properly.
I need a surprise.
Yeah. There's a special guest
Way of
in the
God.
studio. Yeah, and some people may know him as helihaych. Yeah, I know him very much as helihaych. Yeah, but please, Heli, introduce yourself.
So there you go. Donis said it. I'm helihaych, but I'm also known as Howard. It depends on what kind of job I'm working on. But I do all types of different types of work, from TV, film, music videos, business promotion. There's a lot of different things. I do events. I do weddings, sort of anything. I've done a lost dog search once. That happened. That was very early on though. That was quite early days, but that was still interesting, different. But yeah, no. Primarily at this point, a lot of music videos.
Yeah.
I can start listing them off, but
yeah, we were gonna get. I was keeping you for the surprise. We're gonna get into all of that, but just have a little break with more music, and I'm gonna come back with a more question for you, guys. And that was Murder on the Dance Floor by Sophie Alice Baxter. You're listening to L.O.U.D on Riverside Radio with your girl Sandrine, and we are here back with my special guest of the night. So we have the CEO and founder of DEMDRONES, Adonis, and then we have Howard from L.E.A.C.S, right? So we were talking about drones, obviously. So we were touching a little bit about how drones have used. So we kind of touched about in the creative industry and also in the music industry, etc. But where are other ways how you can use the drones? And I know you can use it, for example, in real estate or constructions or agriculture even.
Yeah.
What else can you tell us about?
So I mean, I think for me personally, the two biggest ones I can see right now, I would say agriculture and then inspections. So right now, DJI, a good example of it, they're using the Matrice series, which features a thermal imaging sensor on it, which you can obviously then use for things like pylons and tanks and all kinds of different things. Things that obviously, if you're looking for leaks in heat or heat like radiation and things like that, you'd use a drone like that. Again, these are whole different kind of operations compared to like what you would do like on a music video. A lot of music videos, they go out, it's one guy, one drone operator, he goes out, flies the drone, and it's all, he's doing the spotting himself and the operation himself, which in and of itself isn't really correct. It's not the way you should do things. You should always have someone else with you, someone to spot. When you're flying these visual line of sight drones, as we call them, your normal kind of classic drones, that's definitely something I'd always recommend. But the way things are right now and the way things work with industry and that, don't always have enough budget to cover things like that. Sometimes you do have to go out on your own, because if you're working, like I'm freelance, completely freelance. It's been about 3.5 years now. I've been doing it, and I have all kinds of different, not problems and issues, but it's very difficult to navigate it sometimes, So but I would say inspection wise, agriculture wise, those are the two big things that I could see, like industries that are very good to get into. If you're looking to get into drones and you want like a career path, that's
like good clients, I would say, people that can actually keep you
and like
and
we
busy.
were talking about it earlier, but persistence with this is key. I mean, with anything, persistence is key. But practicing. People are always asking me, how can I get better? How can I'm saying you need to take inspiration. Not even take inspiration, but look at what the good people are doing, the professionals, the people out in Dubai doing the big, productions out there, or even people here or America, people like Beverly Hills Aerials. Go and look at how they're working, and go and look at how they're flying, and that is how you're gonna always improve. Like it's like with anything. You watch professionals do something. If you study how professionals work, you will inadvertently. You have to practice. Again, you have to practice. You have to go somewhere, nice big open field, no trees. I did it for months. I did it for 6 months at least before I was really confident. I was when I was going to shoot, and I was like, okay, cool. I've actually got skill now. I can actually get a really nice shot of that building, rather than just something generic. Because I mean, you and I both, done this. We can both sit here and you could show us 10 clips, and we'd probably say like, all right, what's actually good? What would we and other creatives like? Because that again, it's knowing what other people like. I would say. Super important. If you're working with directors, and they might like a certain style of drone shots, they might like them quite static, and they might just like using the height. And again, you were getting into different usages for it. I mean, as a whole, we'll run back to that later. We won't get too ahead of ourselves. But what do you think about industries?
I mean, right now, so as you mentioned earlier, I'm going into different aspects. I'm trying to hit all 32 industries, have a base in each one of them. Yeah, so we have got about 32 industries that are there. He's mentioned, the
free.
Free. They mentioned agriculture.
Agriculture and whatnot. I mean, we've got surveying, mapping. So at the moment, to map something, you need to be a qualified surveyor. And what this technology allows us to do is take a range of photos and use different points, because we have surveying points, and then find the accurate spot via coordinates. So we do have GNSS, which allows us to map to that level, to that precise centimeter, millimeter level. Those types of things, and I think we need to definitely not put this, we need to make this clear. To get into those industries, disciplinary qualifications is necessary.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that as well.
So it's a situation where if I wanted to, and I have been, I think it was a job you recommended to me, and I went down to central London, and he was doing a 3D mapping of a building.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He was also utilising a GNSS drone.
Where's that?
So
yeah, you actually got to see the drone. I didn't even get to see it when I went out with him.
So it's an RTK module, which basically allows you to fly down to millimeters. Yeah, with its own signal that it generates, allowing us to get a clear image. Now, even when it comes down to, if we look at this in a monetary sense, and a lot of people are like, well, if I'm getting into it, how much I'm going to get paid? It's all about data. So from a music video where, to be honest, they will probably just get a generic shot, use that in a small clip. In a film, what they might do, and I think if you saw the Sonic movie, that was definitely, I think that was Beverly Hills, no, that was Tropicopters. It's a big drone company.
Well, the animated Sonic movie.
Yeah. So they used a
Oh,
rig from one part of the desert to the other. Yeah. And then they added virtual effects on top of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
and
the whole
you
scene.
can do things like that now. The Inspire 3, the RTK module.
You can. The whole scene was literally filmed on the drone.
Wow.
Yeah, and that is a custom module. So they applied the RE or they applied the black magic to that particular camera and flew it down. So I always tell people, if you want to get into this industry, you need to take into consideration your investment into it. Yeah.
Your personal investment as well. So something you're actually taking on.
Yeah, so I would say a minimum, like if you want to start commercial work, you're looking at an i3 is like 17 grand at the moment.
Wow.
With all the modules. It's like the same price as the first cop. So, you know, with all the mods. So, yeah, it is all about understanding your finances, understanding your budget, understanding this is a business and you must have business protocols in place first. Because you want to be treated that way. Yeah,
Okay, so let's have a little break because there's so much to digest. Okay, we're gonna touch a little bit on everything you just talked about. We're gonna talk about that, but we're gonna have a little break and then come back with more questions with you. Okay? Sandra Richard, you're listening to L.O.U.D on Riverside Radio with your girl Sandrine. We are back with a special guest, Adonis, CEO and founder of DEMDRONES, and Howard, founder of L.E.H. Right? But so we were talking about your drones and all the journey, you know, what it really takes to get into drones. So we already mentioned you need a qualifications. Not you cannot just do it like that. So it's a very serious and professional occupation. You have to know your regulations as well. So it have to be, you know, there has to be like all the legal
come back with more
questions. Okay. And also, you have to do it in a safety way as well, right? So would you like to touch a little bit about that? What are the pros, what are the do and don't do of the drones?
So, I mean, I will kind of run it back even better. So I do introduction courses for kids.
Okay.
And that also spans to adults as well, so students and adults. I focus on the kids to teach them about safety and regulations. So I teach them 3 rules. First, be safe. Second, be responsible. And third, have fun. Now, the safe literally is just understanding, well, with kids, they're having to do their own risk assessment. But because I have so many, I get to give them a proper team. So they get a spotter, they get an observer, they get a drone pilot, they get a technician, they get a flight planner. That's already 5 people in the team you need to ensure that you have a safe operation. The more people, the safer the operation is. That's the easiest way to mitigate risk in a risk assessment. So as a qualified pilot, you get an operation manual. The operation manual goes through all of our emergency landings, our risk, what can negate the risk, what can mitigate it. So we have a principle that we stand on. I've tried to reduce it so that a child can understand. And that is really where I think we start with this. So my kids' courses are available, will be available this year with the merchandise that will be available for children and adults, especially if you want to be an enthusiast and you need to show that you're a part of the industry. DEMDRONES is the name for you. Me and Heli did have a great experience, which reminded us about responsibility and doing our job properly in this. He came with Music with the Job. And it was.
I did approach you on this one.
You did approach me on this one. It was a very interesting opportunity. I think in the morning, he was like, "I'm running late," and I'm like, "Oh no, you ready?" He said, "Have you got your drone with you?" I'm like, "I'm coming to help you. I ain't meant to be doing no work." So he was like, "No, I need you to come down to London Bridge," and then we did London Eye. No, Tower Bridge and did London Eye. So I end up showing up early. I'm very punctual. That's who I am as a person.
He is incredibly punctual.
So
He's too
punctual
for a drone operator.
I'm way too punctual. His clients turned up, and I'm here now going, right, so I have to now direct the video, film the video, do the video.
He took on my role for the first half of the video.
It's just the way it was.
Wow.
But this is what happens when you qualify.
This is what happens when you live in West
You know what
London.
you're doing, plus when someone has to get up a little bit later than usual. So we dealt with that. The clients came. They were on Tower Bridge.
Yeah.
So this is the beautiful thing of being qualified. Put my drone up, have my landing mount out, have my cones out, have
But
my
explain
high-vis
to the
out.
people real quick the thing with Tower Bridge, because
Oh,
there are...
yeah.
It's a bit of a sidetrack, but it has to be explained,
It has to
because
be explained.
it comes into this whole aspect of the safety and understanding
Yes,
things.
go back to
So
that.
our whole country is ruled by airspace. Yeah?
Yes, it is.
Anything that flies, planes, drones, model airplanes, gliders, anything in the air is governed by the CAA, the Civil Aviation Authority. So they will manage flights, they'll manage risks, they'll manage anything going on, like I said. So they've employed these different restricted areas all throughout the country. You've got ones for military bases,
Yep.
and you've got ones for research institutions. Kew Gardens has got one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's all kinds, right?
Just
And
popping them up there.
they're considered like bylaw. Some of them like bylaw type stuff. You know, councils will have certain restrictions on drones. Like my council does. I didn't realize that until like a couple of years ago. But like 80% of where I live is like drones are prohibited. You know, they're like that. But then that goes against the CAA. Code of conduct, which is 50 meters from uninvolved people,
Yep.
from uninvolved structures, or anything. You have to keep distances and a certain height limit. But so going back to this, so we obviously for Tower Bridge, there is one side of Tower Bridge where you can theoretically fly a drone,
Right.
and you're not. I'm on radio saying this, but you're not like strictly like breaking the law, right? It might not be how they want it, but if you're flying a certain weight, a certain type of drone at a certain weight,
Yeah.
there's mitigation for things like that.
Mm-hmm.
They might still catch you, and they will pull you up on it. If there's a police officer walking by and you've got a drone in the air, it's very unlikely they're just gonna walk by and let it slide.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all kinds of different ways of doing it. And that day you were lucky. You had a good little
I wasn't
shoot.
lucky. I was qualified.
You can continue the rest of the story. Now I've explained that little tidbit
Yeah.
about airspace and things like that. There's
Is important. I
Yeah.
mean,
London's very hot.
Because you can get in trouble.
You can
get in a lot of
Because we
trouble.
don't-
I discovered the regulation, the clarity of regulation when I was doing a movie when I first got started in 2021, where I realized that one side of Tower Bridge is a tourist-based side, so
Mhm.
there isn't any. We don't have it. It's a C-class airspace.
And it's
Yeah,
actually
C to
designated
D.
R158
Yeah,
for anyone who
R158.
wanted to know.
So that's on the other side, and that's because of the London City Airport. So London City Airport, they have it's 2.5 statical miles, around their airspace. So I mean, I know I'm going off here. When a plane takes off, it gets about a 2,000 feet runway. So I know on Instagram there was like a light show where literally a drone. If you think about it, the plane has to fly about 250 miles and then go up immediately.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is the airspace runway, and that's about 2.5 statical miles. So that is why there is that airspace restriction in Central.
Yeah. makes sense.
So with me now, I obviously knew this, was on the other side, not on the side where I had to go and communicate with everybody.
Flying the correct drone weight as well.
There you go. Flying with my mat out, cones, high vis.
Mhm.
I was approached by Tower Bridge security immediately.
Yeah,
They came out, they put drone on the tannoy, to let people know that I was there. And the gentleman came down. Once he saw and understood that I was completely qualified and I was doing an operation,
Yeah.
because it's also a historical monument.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they want to ensure that it is protected at all
Of
times.
course, yeah.
So if I did not have a public liability because I'm qualified of up to 10 million, it wouldn't have made no sense.
You 10 mil now.
I can go higher, but we'll talk about
I'm
that.
on 5.
Yeah,
Five,
you can
bro.
go higher.
I know you
We'll
can.
talk about that
If
later.
the job requires
If
it.
the job requires
Anyone
it.
listening, if the job requires it.
Look, this is why people aren't for large amounts of money, because we have large public
Yeah,
liabilities.
it's expensive. That insurance is expensive.
But that happened. It went well. No crashes. Everything went perfectly. And then we went on to our next area.
We've now met up at this point.
We have
in
met
the
up.
story. We've
He
now finally
decided
met
to
up.
find
He
me.
wasn't.
Finally arrived.
He was
Finally
alright. He
arrived.
wasn't even that angry with me. He's so chill. That's why I love working with him.
It was
He's
such a
the
great day.
It was a good day. We had a really good day.
We did.
But now the best part of this story, the crux of this story is we've now got to London Eye, right? Bear in mind, I've done a NATS request for Parliament, so it's the PADP, Parliamentary Defence personnel, right?
So do we need to request our permit?
Yes.
Okay.
So the best way to do it is through a website called NATS. So NATS works with the CAA. They put through all the flight requests, and they're usually pretty good. Like if you're trying to do London City, then it goes straight through. I mean, I've got people I can talk to there now because I've done it so many times. You kind of get to know these people. They recognise your email, or they know you're a legitimate person. You're good stuff. You keep, you know what I mean? But not all the places have it. So like London Heathrow, you can't do a NATS request for that because I don't specifically know why. Maybe it's their radar systems. Maybe they're on a completely different sort of system to these other airports, to these other FRZs. But you'd put it through NATS. NATS will then contact the relevant authorities, so they'll talk to London City Airport, they'll talk to Parliament, because bear in mind this is London Eye.
Yes.
And I remember getting the email, and it was approved in principle. So that's what they say. It's approved in principle. So long as you adhere to what we've said and you contact us on the day, you let us know hour before. You have to keep everything legit, and that's how it is. And I remember it specifically saying you're unable to film behind. You can't. You can only film. You said you're filming London Eye, so you're filming London Eye. You can't turn that drone around and film Parliament.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm thinking, oh, like you just don't know. You don't know at this point because they've got also now something called geozones and geofencing, and this is a very, very powerful tool that all governments, not even just ours, but any government that has not drone problems, but a drone countermeasure, they will use things like geolocation, geofencing, and it can do things like delete your files. So say you're filming, it will delete your files whilst you're filming, and you'll get the drone back in, and it's blank. It's a 20-second clip. It's blank.
Okay, that's interesting.
Very interesting. We've had this happen to us.
Imagine if you're, for example, you're not a professional qualified pilot, or you are, but you're not really fully knowledgeable about everything, and then you have a client that wants specific things, like shooter or whatever.
Of course.
And how do you deal with that? Do they actually understand when you have this kind of
I can tell you from my experience. What will probably happen to
depends on the client.
It depends on the client. One, the client's going to have to understand. And this is why I tell people that a lot of people don't like contracts. A lot of people don't like disclaimers. They're important in this industry.
Yes.
Yeah.
It protects you, right?
Even the footage you have, licensing is important in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is still a business, a lot of people, some people like to avoid business. But if you're on the level that we're on, this is how we are able to eat properly. Yeah. Going back to what that situation is, if that does happen and you have that blank out of 20 seconds, the problem is that a lot of people use their screens to fly. They do not do what you're meant to do, which is keep your eyes on the drone at all times. Yeah. At the end of the day, the drone screen is a reference. It is not your first point of view. And a lot of people will do that now. The screen will go blank. They can't see where the drone is. They don't know. Crash. Gone. Yeah, and that is what generally happens.
It happens often.
It happens very often.
It happens more often than people think.
Yes.
And that's, again, you don't realise, like, there's a lot of, I wouldn't even call it drone crime, there's a lot of drone accidents, and this then affects everyone else.
Yes,
this gets the laws more stricter. This gets the more, they use the geozones and the geofencing more. They impose stricter airspaces where you can't fly as much. Do you know what I mean? All they've got to do one day is say, cool, we're going to blanket all of London. We're going to say you can't fly, it's a restricted area, have to gain permission for all drone flights. Anyone caught flying a drone, you get your drone confiscated, you could spend, 30 days in prison, etc. They can impose
because of this, the safety of people as well, because if you lose control of your drone, you cannot see, you can hit people, isn't it?
There you go.
So it's very important that everything is done in, regularly, and safety as well. And
this is important. But I mean, that is the best. Well, I mean, the end of because people probably think what happened in London Eye.
You want to know the story? What with the London Eye?
The end of London Eye is that
it was funny.
he got all the permissions necessary to fly.
Okay.
But so in London, every particular company, wherever they own the land in front of wherever they are.
It's not public.
So it's not public. The only area is public is maybe the bridge, where that's public. You can fly from the bridge. But if you do want to get around this, you do need to speak to these people ahead of time.
Of course.
Emails, communications.
We're talking like 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
They ain't gonna do no 2 day, 3 day, like, unless you're throwing money at them.
Yes, which again, I mean, we don't promote that, but yeah.
No, but that's how
I know it is the truth. It's a little bit of bread helps the day goes forward. But I mean, obviously, like if you are qualified and you can provide all the information like he was on the day, if you've gone through a 2-week process and got management to check and got them to get permission, we would have been flying there.
Yeah.
That on that day we didn't get to London.
That did not happen. We did not get to fly.
Because you didn't have the permit.
We didn't get to London. It would have been great footage.
And what about the client?
Yeah, well, the client
She was super cool. She was super cool about it. We did tell her. We did say, look, London, we've got the permission. We went there, obviously, and again, this just shows you. This was going back about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
2 years ago. 2 years ago.
We. Not like we thought we knew it all, but it's like you get to a certain point where you're like, all right, cool, I've done everything by the book, and then you've got guys in Tabars going, no, mate, you're not flying a drone here. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you do in that situation? Because you can't just pop off and go, no, I'm gonna fly my drone. It doesn't work like that. The drones themselves will not take off. So, do you know what I mean? You've got to do all kinds of, I wouldn't say loopholes, but there's extra steps to once you've got that approval, you then need to know how to utilize the DJI system, which actually unlocks the zone, because that's a whole different system. That's not. You've got to send them documents that are confirming that you've got permission to fly. There's all kinds of things. You know what I mean? It's very intricate.
There's all a bureaucracy in place as well. You have to know.
I mean, when I first got qualified, these are all the things they don't tell you. So one thing I will definitely say to everyone about your passage or journey into the drone field is find someone and try and make sure they're qualified as a pilot and ask them to kind of mentor you if you can. We are busy people. We do mentor. We do mentor.
So give us a shout.
We do mentor.
At DEMDRONES.
Drone consultancy. I do provide drone consultancy for all companies, Fortune 500, whatever the case is, to kind of make your life easier in regards to do that. The mentoring program I do have available at the moment. We're just putting the finishing touches on it, putting the membership on it, and then that will be there for people to mentor. Because when I first got into this industry, I did it in COVID. So I did all my qualifications in COVID. I wasn't able to do my flight test until after we had some areas of lifting.
I did all my, we did all the online classrooms, didn't we? It was October 2020 was when I got my qualification.
We are technically the personification of solo entrepreneur. In that regard, but because we didn't have the classes, the courses, we had to do it on our own.
Of course.
Didn't have a manager.
Didn't
have someone to ask questions to. I mean, you can go to UAV Hub and ask them questions, but they ain't gonna help you in the way that when I ask him for help, he'll help me. Like, how many times do I ring you and I'll be like, Rico, bro, I need help. Help me. Not even
like mentioned, you have to practice and you have to have somebody
practice.
Can tell you
but it's more like you can. But he psychs me up as well. He tells me, "Heli, you're good. You've got these qualifications, bro." Because it can be daunting. Sometimes.
Very daunting. I mean, it's because it is anyone who wants to get into this game. I would say, form a business first.
Yeah.
Go and buy a business book. Yeah, literally do that first. Because the drone at the end of the day is a skill, high quality skill, but your business acumen getting into this, that's the difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference from you being able to say, look, you want access to my public liability, you pay what you need to pay. You did not do this, I'm the one doing it. I mean, I've worked with directors, there's a movie, Yes Man, I worked with that one there. That was where I got to learn how to be a director. Yeah, and then I also learned how to be a businessman. Then I took from that. I mean, I've been doing business since I've been very young, but you understand that this is there's transferable skills into this. The best way to get started is to find a qualified pilot. That's literally how I say it.
Can you just touch a little bit what are the steps? Because I understand there are different things different things involved, right? So first of all, you have to get your qualification. Otherwise, you're not flying.
So I'll start here. Come to a DEMDRONES workshop. Where I can speed on the whole process. Okay, that will help you.
It's an RE soon.
Okay, it's coming. Yeah, with that, once you've come to a workshop, I can then tell you how long it's going to take, because it can take up to 2 years to become a properly qualified pilot.
2 years?
2 years. It is not a simple, easy course.
Right.
Yeah, we have paperwork that can last us for 6 months you're reading through. And then the exam you have at the end of that,
because, as I said before, workshop will give you an introduction. You might be able to get a chance to fly a drone. Then I'm going to take you to the A2 stage. A2 stage can take you 6 months. Yeah. Then we get you into the GVC stage. That can take you up to 6 months to a year. Right. Then we even get into you booking with an RAE, and you get your qualification. You are now a qualified graduate with no experience, no jobs, no help, no nothing. And unfortunately, these RAEs don't have a giant program to be able to bring a ton of people in.
Yeah.
So this is where I come in, where I am now. If you know what DEMDRONES is, I'm sitting there giving you an opportunity to give your voice in all the places that I get involved with. I'm giving you an opportunity to help you figure out how to get a job, because that's just the hardest thing. Yeah, and if you're going to do freelance, you need to study the industry you're about to go into. Like, if you're doing roofing, as an example, you're a drone pilot and you want to start filming roofs. One, how is a roof constructed? What are you filming? What are you giving to the roofer? It's going to speed up his job. How is this drone going to speed up the process for him so that his job is easier? Right now, scaffolding is everywhere, but it would take 5 seconds for a roof assessment. But what type of roof assessment are you doing? What industry are you going into? These are questions you need to ask. As I said before, it's a business. Yeah, you have, just like your phone, access to every industry. Yeah, but if you don't understand how to identify your skill, what skill you have, and apply that, yeah, you're not going to be able to start the way you want to start. It's going to take you a lot longer.
Okay.
And it's always a mixture of aspects as well. There's always going to be a bit of luck, a bit of this, a bit. Do you know what I mean? And talk to anyone, they're always going to say it's not what you know, but it's who you know.
There you go.
You know, I've gotten onto projects before purely because I'm just like, not like I'm the only drone guy that the director might know, or the cameraman might know, or the DOP might know, but it's more you've worked with them and you've made an impression and you've kept that, you know? Yeah. And I think that's the most important thing is when it comes to the clientele.
And I want to add, if you work on a film set, if you work in a music video, you are not a part of the production. You are a specialized piece of equipment, and you are also a specialized individual, which means you are not in the general production budget. You need to be approaching your director, approaching the person that's funding the product, and then providing a contract with your licensing agreement, because the production has their production costs. You are not a part of that.
No.
You are an individual they want to bring in, which means you have your own contracts, your own licensing, your own things. This is how it works, even up to Disney. Yeah, Paramount TV, Netflix. So it's about who you know, yes, but it's also about what you know. Because this isn't, as I said before, it's
Also, how you are set up as a business, right?
Yeah.
You have to have many ads, because I understand there's a lot of production, post-production, editing. You have to also
Even
know how to navigate.
Understanding that.
Yeah, understanding that is more important for a drone operator, I would say. Again, the data, handling the data, understanding the data is so important. Like, if a little thing with drones, right? So like the Pro 2s, I was going over this the other day with someone about how there's a certain limit on the storage, 64 gigabytes. Anything higher, you're going to run into problems. But again, this is something that I just found out but via trial and error. And I clocked, and I'm looking online now, and it's, oh no, 64 is the best. You want to get these certain read and write speeds, and that is the best way, the most efficient way to have your data always, always correct. It's never, you're going to run into less problems and things like that. It might not corrupt. It might, do you know what I mean? But it's still, again, like I said, understanding it, your equipment and what you're also providing.
I just want to add to that.
And talking about equipment, right? Because I know that there are loads of different types of drones, right? So how do you pick what is the most suitable for you? And what do you recommend? What is the first one you should start with?
I brought in an example today. With
you.
You've got the little one in your hand.
People can't see that, but there's a
television. People can't see it, but that is the example. I would say start there. That is way under 250 grams. You can crash it as many times as you want.
That is an actual toy.
Well, actually, no, because it's just got the camera you can record. It's still registered as a drone. You have to put it. But that is where I would start. For anyone who wants to fly in your house, I don't like, they're not giving me anything just yet, but a L.O.U.D DJI is a great start.
I endorse that statement.
Yeah, 100%. It is a great start.
Amazing.
Come find me. We'll talk about some endorsement deals. DJI, yeah. But that is a great place to start. If you do, and I do know a lot of people who have the money, go and buy yourself a Mini 4 Pro, or Mini 4, not Mini 4 Pro, because over the weight limit. That's a good start as well. A lot of obstacle avoidance sensors preventing you from crashing quicker. So those are the ones I would say for consumers.
That's for consumers starting.
Yeah, and the reason why I give you consumers is because until one of these people want to start qualifying themselves, that is what they need to be touching.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Before we go, I want to make sure I add, he was talking about data. So a production house that is filming a movie, they would need data wranglers, they would need ADs, they would need production, they would need a film crew, they would need their lighting, they would need their mics, everything, okay?
Mm-hmm.
A drone pilot does all of that. Yeah, we edit, we film, we get locations. We would have to do our lighting, we would have to do sound. We are individual production houses as drone companies. That is just one service that we have to create because we have control over our cameras, yeah, and our flying equipment, which can move up to almost 90 miles an hour, depending on what you're doing.
Faster than that. If you're flying FPV.
The i3 right now, which is everyone's new favorite toy.
What's that hitting? 60? That's not going faster.
I've seen.
That's way too fast.
I've recorded 90.
No.
Yes, 90.
No. Pull it
90
up.
miles per hour. 90 miles
Pull
per
up the
hour.
clip.
The thing is, it was a YouTube video. My guy was testing the i3 camera and the i2 camera.
Really?
And the i2 camera toppled at 120
I'm going to go home
miles.
after this and actually
He has
find
to
a video
now,
now
yeah,
of an
because
Aspire
the-
3.
You guys
Everyone
have to
knows
keep
that.
updated then.
everyone.
Which one was it? Because
But-
we are invested now.
Yeah, look, if you're gonna buy an i3,
That's
buy an
crazy.
i3 and then go to a drone pilot and say, can you fly it for me? Okay, because you shouldn't be touching that. Yeah, and then
Shout me, I'll fly it.
yeah,
for you.
but same here. Okay, or you could just invest in the company. I'm here. Yeah, but yeah, so we do all of that. And I don't like to call myself just a drone pilot. I'm a drone company, and as I said before, build an empire.
Aerial director. That's a good
Whatever
title
names
as
we
well.
want, anything, and it's funny because anything that goes in the air is our domain. That's it. Like, I don't really want a director telling me, oh yeah, no, you didn't fly. You didn't put that up in
Hey,
the air.
don't forget about the birds. The birds are up there as well.
They're our
man.
best friends.
No, they're not.
They're our best
They're not.
friends.
So that actually, what are the challenge? Just that last question because obviously the mindful of time. But what are the biggest challenges when you're flying? Because I can think about the weather, especially in this
Let's
country.
do two each. Go on.
Okay, cool.
Hit me with two each.
Alright.
I'll go first.
Go first.
1, birds. 2, wind. But I say wind as in like if you're in somewhere really windy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking like little 25 mile an hour, 30 mile an hour winds. I was in Tenerife up TD with my Mini about 3 years ago, and it was getting blown away by the wind. It was just I couldn't control it. So there's things like that. But yeah,
I would
definitely birds.
say I've done the same as well. I would say cloud coverage.
Wow. Okay, so that's so much, guys. Now we're intrigued. People have to get in touch with you. I'm gonna put all the details. And thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to Loud, and see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye.